Welcome to the very first episode of the Knauf PodKast in celebration of National Apprenticeship Week. We're excited to talk with individuals who have both completed their apprenticeships and are currently in the midst of their training. At Knauf, we have 13 apprentices across Sittingbourne and Immingham, studying a range of skills from marketing to production. Joining us today is Stephen Ratchford, our production technical apprentice, and Kate Gray, an assistant finance business partner here at Knauf.
My name's Stephen Ratchford. I'm 18 years old. I'm doing a production technical apprentice role here at Knauf. I started September, so I've been here nearly 5 months.
So my name's Kate Gray. I'm 24 and I did the finance apprentice in 2021, which is a level 3 AAT qualification, and I'm now doing my CIMA.
What made you do an apprenticeship?
I wanted to do an apprenticeship because I studied my level 2 when I was working full time. So once I enjoyed my level 2, I wanted to learn my level 3 with real job experience to apply my practical skills to.
What about you, Stephen? What about your apprenticeship journey? What made you think that this was the right way for you?
I mean, I always kind of wanted to do an apprenticeship because, in my opinion, I always thought it would, be a lot better than college.
Yeah.
Because in some courses you don't go to college as many days of the week, but you're just learning, mostly classroom. It is very much on the job learning, so you do actually get that work experience, but you also, I think it's the best balance between classroom and work experience.
And same for you, Kate? Or?
Yeah, I agree. So having like a dedicated college day to do my studying really helped me in the apprenticeship to like study and have a good work-to-life balance as well.
How do you balance that? That was going to be my next question. How do you balance like studying and working?
So for me, in finance, when I was doing my different chapters in college, my manager was putting me around the finance team, so I was learning when I was at work as well, and then I had a dedicated college day, which was like a big benefit because it was a whole day dedicated to just learning. So.
And yours is office based, but Stephen, am I right in thinking that your practical is?
Yeah. It's I'd say it's very practical. I do so every now and then I get college work set for me for the whole month. So every now and then I will sit down at a desk, and I have a computer, so I'll just do the college work on the computer. But most of the time it's out on the factory floor and doing like physical tasks. So yeah.
And how do you get the balance right of doing the college work and the coming into work as well?
Well, for me, the college work it's not the absolute hardest thing in the world, so it doesn't take too long for me. So most of the time I'm actually just out on the factory floor, but every now and then, maybe once every 2 weeks, I come in to the office and I do a bit then, but instead of doing all the college work in one, because then I would be, if I did it all in one, then I'd be out on the factory floor for the whole month. But I split it up into 2 or 3 days across the month, so it's balanced. I'm not just constantly on the factory floor for like 3 straight weeks. I switch every now and then, so it's a good balance.
Kate, how did you find the apprenticeship? The process to apply?
So applying for the apprenticeship I found was really easy. I found it on Indeed, and I had to upload a CV, and I think I had to do a little online assessment just to make sure I got through to the interview. Yeah. But after that, the contact was really good. I had James ring me from HR, and I come in for my first interview, and I think I found out after my first interview that I got the job. So yeah, it was a really smooth process actually for me.
What about yourself?
I also found it on Indeed as well. I applied online, and I think it was a couple months later, actually, after I applied, I got an email from Charlie Healy saying basically, come in for a first stage interview. So I was like, right, good. So I went in for a first stage interview. I heard back about a week later. They said, come in for a second stage interview. The interviews were actually, they weren't sort of sit down, talk, because everyone gets really nervous when it comes to interviews, because you're going in, you're sitting down, you revise the questions, all of that. That's what I did. I revised a lot of possible questions that I could have been asked, but actually you go in, you don't sit down at all. I did for my first stage interview, I actually built a wall out of plasterboard, and then for the second stage interview I actually did a tour of the factory. So I think the interviews were really, really well well structured. So that's a big pro.
Good. And what about Knauf? Because there are other companies that, of course, offer apprenticeships, but what made you apply to Knauf?
I actually thought it was quite a competitive salary compared to the other apprenticeships in the area. And I liked the Knauf values as well when I was in my interviews and stuff. And everyone was really friendly. Like when I come for my interviews, my managers and stuff were really friendly. So I liked that.
Brilliant. Kate, you actually mentioned a really great point about salaries and things. So some people might believe that the salary for an apprentice might put them off, but what would you say to encourage them to not just think about the money?
I say to focus on the bigger picture, and apprenticeships like an investment into your future. You gain skills for life, qualifications and experience that will lead to better earning opportunities in the future. So I would say the lower starting rate is beneficial for all the experience you get.
Brilliant. Because you're earning and learning, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And Stephen, what about yourself?
I think it's a big investment into future, and also compared to other alternatives that people are doing around our age, like sixth form and college, you're just learning. You're not learning and earning. So I think that actually the pay's a good thing.
Good to hear. My daughter has just come out of university. She's finished, and she's obviously coming out with student debt. So for me, I'm looking at apprenticeships for my son, thinking, wow, you can earn and learn here. So would you agree with that? Have you got friends that are going through a similar process?
I agree. I think the fact that you get all of your training paid for is really beneficial. Like for some of the exam fees, it's expensive to pay for all your exams and for your course independently. So being able to be part of a company that helps you and is committed to your development really helps.
And what about timing as well? Because obviously going to do a degree it could be 3, 4, 5 years for some. What's the length of time that it takes in an apprenticeship? What was it for you?
Mine was 18 months, and I personally wouldn't go to university because I'd get too homesick.
And so when you're company training at the moment, aren't you? So you're in the midst of going through this process. When does that end for you?
So my apprenticeship course, my contract is 2 years, but my college course where I study for the qualification for the apprenticeship is I can choose whether to do it in a year, 12 months or 15 months to spread it out longer. But yeah, it's very good because you're not, you can choose, you have the flexibility to choose whether you want to do it over a certain period of time or longer or stretch it out, or you have that flexibility, which I don't think you get with a lot of other alternatives.
No, that's brilliant. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So if you want to put the time in and the effort in to kind of get the education piece out of the way, you get to do that, right?
Yeah.
Lovely. I'm not the expert in apprenticeships at all, but I had seen that in the production world, engineering had lots of apprenticeships, and I thought that we could kind of diversify and kind of go out to other functions to grow and give the opportunity for local talent, because obviously people want to work close to where they live as well, and it's close to their education establishment. So that gives us the opportunity at Knauf to offer to local people that want to work and learn, and why not, right? And what we've seen is over the years, we've had people that like yourselves that have come in and you're here. You are part of the stat of, I think it's 7 out of 10 people stay with the employer if they've had their apprenticeship there. And, that speaks volumes. But we want that. We want people to earn and learn. We want to share them skills and boast about it.
What would you say to someone who's thinking about doing an apprenticeship but is drawn between doing an apprenticeship or going the more traditional route like university or college?
Having heard both of your stories, I think there's some real advantages. Firstly, it's about circumstances. Everybody's circumstances are different. If you don't want to work, go away from home, then, going to a university far away is going to put you off there. There's obviously the financial debt that you get when you go to university, because that applies to the majority. Not everyone's going to have, them finances. You're earning and learning as well. So you're learning the skills on the job, as opposed to people that might just be sitting there learning the theory behind things if they were to go to the more traditional route at university. Because I think if I can do a comparison, you would spend a minimum of 3 years at university, having not done much work experience, come out with a load of debt, and then start applying for jobs. And it's not easy out there to get jobs. Whereas you guys, you've got that experience, you've got that qualification, so you're already attractive to the working market. So I think that would be, but it really does depend on the individual. And I think that you should explore all options.
So in terms of emotional support, how do you support the apprenticeships during and after their apprenticeship?
Okay, so firstly, when an apprentice joins the business, there's an induction into the business. So we talk about our benefits, what we offer. They obviously have a manager. We have an apprenticeship kind of team that look and make sure that you're kind of going through, and they do assessments with the college that you're at as well, to see how you're doing on track with your education. And then whilst you're going through your apprenticeship, I'd like to think that you're considered as an employee. So everything that happens as an employee, we have lots of benefits. So you get reduction in like glasses and dental, counselling sessions. I always like to think that the manager is the first port of call. So they're always talking about how you're doing anyway and progress. And then the aftercare of, once you've finished your apprenticeship, in the ideal world, there's a job for you at the end of it, but that obviously isn't the case for everyone. It really does depend on the individual role that there is. And of course, we'd like to offer everybody jobs. We've been very lucky in that 90% of our apprentices that have gone through apprenticeships have ended up in a role here at Knauf and stayed. And then, of course, then there is that continued care and support. If somebody was struggling mentally because of exam pressure or work pressure even, we give study leave. We want you to talk it out to make sure that we get the right care for you. So it's not one blanket approach. It really is up to the individual. But we'd never want anyone to foul during the process, and that shouldn't happen. And so that should be picked up quite quickly with the ongoing discussions with the various people involved. So I'd like to think that we certainly give that extra care because it's early careers, and we want to make sure that your first experience of your first career is amazing. And so that's kind of my job. I feel that that's something that I pride myself on.
So what kind of events do you hold for the apprenticeships?
So we have graduation once once a year, depending on where people are in terms of their programme of study. They'll go out and do a fun event, and that will be getting the older apprentices who may have completed with the new apprentices to go and do something fun, like go ape, or I think they've done some other fun activities. I think what happens is Mel gets everyone together and gives some options of like, this is what we could do, so let's go and do this. The beauty of that is that those that have graduated can talk to the newbies, and then there's like a cohort and kind of camaraderie that comes with that. So that happens. I think there are events that happen and take place throughout Knauf anyway, but we certainly could do more. I know that we did a scavenger hunt in London, and teams of not just our apprentices, they went off and worked against other apprentices.
That was really good.
Yeah, good. So, but open to ideas as well. But I think it's really important that these events do happen, because young careers, they want to have fun whilst at work. We're here for, long hours. We get to know each other. And I think the apprentices or those that have graduated, just having that shared experience, creating a bit of fun at work is really important. If somebody's thinking about applying for an apprenticeship and they've got a company in mind, then they should definitely go and have a look on their website. But there is also the government website that offers apprenticeships, and that website will be in our show notes.